Hello, America. Welcome to the home front, guys. We have a wonderful panel here. We've got some fun things that we're going to be talking about, including the legalization of marijuana. Is that something that we need to see legalized? Do we think it's maybe more of a gateway drug? We're also going to talk about the presidential debate. It's been a hot minute since the presidential debate, but we never really did a follow-up here on that. And we're also going to discuss with our Gen Z panel recent Supreme Court rulings. So take a look at this video.
The legalization of marijuana is a topic that stirs passionate debate on both sides. On one hand, it's not a problem if you're using it to calm anxiety or in a group setting. Many people find that it provides relief and relaxation in a social context. Moreover, people will find a way to use marijuana even if it's not legal, often turning to the black market where the risks are far greater. Marijuana is undeniably less dangerous than fentanyl, a powerful opioid that carries significant risks of overdose and death. The comparison highlights marijuana as a safer alternative when considering the potential for harm. However, it's important to recognize that marijuana is not without its dangers. Becoming addicted to marijuana can lead to more dangerous habits, potentially acting as a gateway to harder substances. One of the significant concerns about legalizing marijuana is that it might open the door to the acceptance and use of more dangerous drugs. The normalization of marijuana could lower the perceived risk of drug use in general, leading some individuals to experiment with substances that pose far greater risks to their health and well-being. In summary, while marijuana has its benefits and is relatively safer compared to substances like fentanyl, the potential for addiction and the gateway effect to more dangerous drugs cannot be ignored. Legalizing marijuana presents a complex issue that requires careful consideration of both the advantages and the potential unintended consequences.
All right, guys. So we've got asking Gen Zers to pay attention to a 3-minute video is
that's too long.
my word. What did...
My voice just went up 5 octaves.
This is Aly's fault.
15 seconds.
Guys,
max.
I want to do a quick icebreaker question. So, you don't have to give us your name because everybody knows who you are, but I want to ask you this quick question. Before we talk about the heavy topic of marijuana, when you retire, marijuana. And it just went downhill.
Just say weed, Ma. Say pot.
There were no brownies backstage, I promise. So, do we
Not those brownies, at least.
What do you
There
want
might
to
be one day, no.
Guys, what do you want? Lord, help me get a grip. What do you want to do when you retire? Is retirement in your future? Do you feel like that's even something that like your generation is going to get to see?
Oh, is this the question for today?
Yes. Oh. What would you do when you retire if you could do anything?
You're old. What are you going to do soon?
You're old. Does she call you old?
This little girl
What are you
just
doing in
called
5
me.
years?
I will definitely not be retiring in 5 years.
Not in this economy.
What would I do if I were to retire? I don't know. I want to be a princess.
I can see that, Aly. Oh my gosh.
Interesting.
I want to sit on the set of Bridgerton and be the queen. Like, I don't know. You watch Bridgerton?
You want to be Queen Charlotte.
Pleasure. I would love to.
I think you would be a great Queen Charlotte. Oh my gosh.
I would probably act, honestly. I would like to act or sing. I mean, I want to do all that now. I don't really like this idea of retirement. Because retirement just has like this negative connotation to me. Like you sit and you do nothing. Or you work your whole life to spend the last 5 years of your life to do all of the things you wish you would have done while you were working. I don't like that idea.
Me neither.
I don't like it.
Very nice, Aly. Very good. Yeah. What about you?
I don't know. I don't have kids right now, so I'd say life's going pretty great. So I'd probably just be doing the exact same thing I'm doing now. Ask me when I have kids, I'll probably say I want to be on a beach with no one.
Your kids will probably be grown up by then. Though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So maybe you will be on a beach by yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you ask me when I have kids, I'll just want peace and quiet. But right now, I kind of like life. So
Okay. All right.
so I'm doing exactly what I'm doing now.
All right. And how about you?
My name is Camden. Oh, are we doing that still?
You don't have to. That's okay.
Well, I did.
They know you now.
Now they know me twice.
It's drilled in.
I know him twice. Catch his
So
show
nice,
on
you have-
Friday night.
Right. I agree with Aly. I don't like the idea of retirement. I feel like when you stop working and doing all the things like that, you die. When you stop moving, you die.
Yes.
And I don't like that negative connotation to it either.
I
So
died.
I would still be doing the things I do. I think I would still try to be talking,
Absolutely.
doing videos, and spending time with family.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, very cool. I like that. I like that.
I think when I think of retirement, I think of just not working anymore. So I'm fine with that. Like, obviously not right now. I still want plenty of years before I retire. Obviously, I'm 23. But when I do retire, I want to be able to hang out with my family, kind of do what I want, go shopping whenever I want. Just kind of be like a free bird, you know?
Yeah.
Free
I hope
bird.
to be a good grandma.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And then you have
grandkids
your little
and-
granddaddy
Sitting on a rocking chair.
Yeah.
Throw
I love
that.
I'll probably end up like preaching or doing something like that after.
Ooh, I love
called
that.
it.
I'm
I
telling
called
you.
it.
Yeah, I
And
mean-
I called it.
I'm telling you. I see you as a
She's
youth
spoken into you a
pastor.
long time ago.
Yeah, we'll
Guys,
see.
I like that. I'm right with you. I don't think that there is a difference between, I mean, maybe I don't want to be like on a hustle, like a grind kind of work.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think if I got into like public policy, making policy or working, or even helping other people run for office, like kind of reach them
And you can be a
behind.
mentor for people too.
Yeah.
Mentor the younger.
Aly and I probably be living together. Let's be honest.
We would be living in our office. Like, we're not working. We're retired. We have all these phone calls, all these candidates.
Zoom calls won't be a thing. I don't know what it'll be. So I like that. I like that everybody's really focused and driven, because I do feel like that age of retirement, whatever it was, 50, 60 years old, is not something that's going to be there or as an option for our generation. So we better be prepared to do something else.
Yeah.
Guys, we're going to talk about the topic of marijuana, not so much medical marijuana, because I know that's something that we've all gotten used to. We know the medicinal purposes of medical marijuana. Even our veterans are very, very passionate, a lot of them, on when they suffer from PTSD, just the effects of that versus some really, really heavy narcotic or other medications. So for pain. But when I'm talking about is marijuana for street use, for recreational use. How do you feel about it? And what kind of age limit would you put on it if you're for it? What do you guys think?
You wanted to talk about this. Didn't you?
Don't get quiet now, Ashley.
I don't think it's a big deal.
Okay.
I really don't. I mean, yes, there can be a gateway, but I still don't believe that there can be a gateway to those hardcore drugs. I really don't. I mean, unless obviously if you've done those hardcore drugs already and then you went back to smoking marijuana and then you were like, oh, let me get back on the whole hard drug use, then then okay. But if you're, I don't think that it's a problem if you legalize it. Like I was saying to Camden earlier, I mean, one way or another, if it's illegal, legal, somebody's gonna find a way to find it. And somebody's gonna find a way to still smoke marijuana, and somebody's still gonna find a way to do it. Just like fentanyl is illegal. How many overdoses have we had with fentanyl? Because obviously they're still finding a way to get it. So
you bring up a good point,
It's
Ashley.
also in drugs. It's in your the epidurals that we get as pregnant ladies when you're about to give
Well, we
birth.
shouldn't be getting those.
No, we shouldn't. But it's there.
But it's there, yeah.
But
I feel like, honestly, it's so hard to say that one thing is going to have the same reaction for every person, because one person might get super addicted to it, and then it's not going to be enough, so they try something heavier and then they overdose. But one person could try it and absolutely hate it and never smoke again.
Well, it's also it's like also based on the person. It's individualized, right? Like I don't necessarily know people that are like addicted.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then is it
Like, if they
worse
could
than
quit, they
is it
would.
worse than your opioids that are in your cabinet? Like Ozempic in your cabinet? Like the anti-acids that you get from the pharmacy? Like, is it worse?
Everyone I know that smokes. It's like if they wanted to quit, they could. It's not like they're addicted.
I don't know. Here's my thing. I think
government should stay out of it.
I think for young people, if that's legalized and in a casual way, like you can just go get it, then someone that's young is going to be like, okay, I'm going to try this. And then if they like it a lot, they're going to see, oh, what else is there to try? And then you might get addicted to a drug. And the road of addiction, it goes down like a lifelong path. So I don't know.
I have to tell you, Camden, so I've talked to a lot of people in running for office, because this is something that's coming onto the ballot for an amendment during our elections here in Florida, and trying to hear pros and cons. And the one thing I keep going back to is because we've had this even in like distant family members, like you kind of see not everybody takes it responsibly. And I understand you don't govern for the few that can't, but my issue is I don't like any of it. I don't like the medications in our cabinet. I don't like the medications that, you know, our doctors are giving. I don't like how we're treating PTSD with our veterans sometimes with other harsh chemicals. Painkillers. I mean, some of these painkillers that you take that your doctor, the oxys, oh my gosh, they're 1,000 times more addictive. So I can totally see the medicinal use of it. My issue is I have seen people become inebriated while they're on it, and it's no different than somebody not passing a breathalyzer. So driving under the influence better include the influence of marijuana.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. And you can't, and this is my, so you have people that are like totally against marijuana, like they can't stand it, but they'll get drunk every night.
Yes.
And I'm like, what's the difference? Because alcohol is screwing your liver. But marijuana, like you're maybe getting a head high and you're eating some cookies and you're going to bed. Like you're just.
I mean, you're killing your brain cells, but
well,
I don't. Yeah, I agree. I don't think you should be for one and not the other like that. It's
right, like that's just weird.
Hypocritical in a little bit. But what I see it as is if you're using it, like a lot of people talk about anxiety with it. And if you're using that for anxiety, you're gonna need to use that for anxiety. You're gonna get into this like dependency for it, and then
like your anxiety medication.
I mean, yes, that too, though. I'm kind of against that in a way, too. For certain people, it might work, but for most, I think it's overprescribed. But with that, it's the same kind of thing.
And certain strands can make you more anxious. So it really just depends on the person. And I do think that it needs to be like cigarettes, right? Like, you have to make it age appropriate.
So have you guys ever had anybody, and I can just speak freely, because in my lineage, we have had people who have like for example, if I go out and have a glass of wine or, you know, I'm with family and we have a couple beers or whatever, we can get along just fine. I've had people in my bloodline that literally after 2 or 3 beers become somebody different. I mean, literally, it's like, it's abusive.
Saying it depends on the person.
And I have seen that with marijuana.
Have you?
Effects on people too. I've seen hyper, almost like, what do you call it when you just always feel like somebody's out to get you? What am I trying?
Paranoia.
Like a paranoia.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I've seen it in 3 people that I can think of right off the top of my head, a decline in mental health, unless they get another hit. But I think it's individual.
It has to be. I think it's your intention.
But what you're saying too,
if
alcohol is legal, then it's hard. Yeah, I mean, if people are using alcohol for the same reasons, it's kind of...
It's the same.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you're like igniting the demons that you already have within you. You're feeding the demons that you already have within you that you haven't dealt with.
And you're trying to suppress whatever you're feeling.
That part.
And people get belligerent like that with alcohol too.
They do.
But they don't. They're not making alcohol illegal. So
right. That's where
I don't think I've ever read a story of someone that was high and beat their wife.
Right.
I don't think I've on marijuana.
No,
I've
but
never
what
read a
happens
story.
is what happens is, and because I have seen reports of this, it's the coming off of it 3 or 4 days later.
The withdrawals.
It's like a withdrawal. And
really?
Can you even withdraw from
I can tell you because again, that's happened in my bloodline, in my lineage. It is, and it's been to the point where we now have a young generation coming up in our family, and my nephew's like, I'm done. I've seen what happened with this person and this person. I'm not doing it. I don't know if maybe they're lacing it with somebody else, with something else.
It might be, especially now that there is like Delta 8 and Delta 9 and THCA or whatever it's called.
Right.
Like you have government people and people that are putting like different chemicals and combinations together, and you don't really know how. It's different than if it's just like regular like street weed, I guess you'd say. Like you grow your own plant. Like that's kind of how I feel about it. If you're gonna legalize it, at least let me grow my own. Buy my own natural seeds. Let me just grow my own, dry my own, roll my own.
Which you know they won't like because they can't tax it.
Because they can't tax it. So that's the problem.
All of my points are not legal points. Like I'm making an argument for the moral and the anxious
I'm with you
part
on
of
that.
it,
I'm with
but
you on that.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about the legal part of it.
Yeah.
And as far as morals go, you shouldn't. But in the same sense,
you can't legislate morality.
You need free will.
I know, and I know people that have been like on. I know people that have been on marijuana, and then they actually say they're more anxious because then every time they don't have it, they're like, well, now I need this to not be anxious. So. But that's not a legal standpoint, so I don't know.
No,
I don't know where you
I just think it depends on the person. I think it depends on the strand. Like Aly was saying, I mean, people can react to different strands. One strand might cause you to. I've never seen any like You know, I've
Bad.
seen, yeah, I haven't seen like overdose. Like, I don't
think you
know
can
if that's
overdose on
possible.
marijuana. I mean, the edibles maybe, because you can take too many edibles
Right,
and like
yeah.
really overload your system.
Why
and
is
then
it
you have to,
now a
like,
thing though?
But I don't
And
know.
it used to be completely like it wasn't as big of a topic. Why is it now being?
Well, I will tell you, in places that they've studied, and I know because I just spoke to our county sheriff 4 or 5 days ago about this, in areas of the country, because Florida's had to really do some research on this because we're facing it on our ballot, whether or not we're going to approve it.
Yeah.
In areas like California, Colorado, some of the states that have gone ahead and legalized it, what's happened, what's taken place, well, we can't really say economically because Biden's in office, but what happens with crime, what happens with unemployment, what happens in the family structure, and we're seeing atrocious things. Again, not
Wow.
medicinal use.
Yeah,
Medicinal use we have right
recreational.
now. Pure recreational use. It's like
So that's a
crime.
good point, then.
Crime has gone
That
up
is a
in
good-
Colorado.
yeah.
I think he said like 63%.
Well, they also have like a very liberal, like judicial system. They have liberal police. They have like liberal, like
so all they did
people that
was
run
take
their
a
county
look at
commission and all that.
when it was legalized.
Yeah.
What happened? You
Yeah,
know,
I
but
wonder
again,
what else was happening at the same time though. That's
crime's
that's
gone
only,
up because of
Yeah.
Biden across the country with
Right,
open
and so
border.
it's just
Right.
like it's kind of it's not really it's kind of skewed when you
Right.
think about it because
I wish we could see the individual.
Right. And I
just
don't
that related to crime. And
I
stuff,
don't think Florida would experience the same thing in certain areas depending on who their local government was. Because we have certain cities and towns here, townships, whatever you want to call them here, counties, where we have really good sheriffs that crack down on crime. And some places that don't because we have sheriffs that don't know what they're doing.
Right.
Or we have, mayors that are very progressive. So it just really just depends, I think, on the kind of government
Yeah.
you've elected.
And that's what they're bracing for here in Florida, because what will happen if this amendment passes on the ballot and it does become legalized for
Legalized.
recreational use, then that comes down now to our county, whether it's Manatee County or Sarasota County. And
County
how are we
commission.
going to fish the, what are we going to do? How are we going to handle this? Just real quickly, because I'm still not for the recreational use, but if you were going to do it, or not you, if you were going to do it, if you were for recreational use, what would be the age? What do you think the age is? 18, 21? What do you
21. If alcohol is 21, then
Yeah, I would do
Okay.
21. I think
Yeah.
But then
21.
cigarettes are 18, and
I think
people
it's
can
on
get,
the ballot for 18.
Cigarettes are 18? No, it's
Yeah.
21.
Yeah, they are.
No, they changed it.
They
It's
changed it.
21.
Oh, they changed it to
It's
21.
21.
That's what I
It's
said.
21.
Okay, it was 18.
I remember
Yeah.
I went to
It
get
was.
my
Okay, so
cigarettes
then,
one
yeah,
time and they wouldn't
I
let
think
me.
you have to put it at the same level as those things.
Yeah.
So 21.
It's
Right.
definitely
Same
one
age.
to watch. It's
Who were
definitely
you
one to
getting
watch.
cigarettes from?
Dad.
I was like,
My dad sent me on a cigarette run, and I was like, Dad, you have to be 21. He's like, oh, didn't know that.
Okay,
didn't know that
then
either.
you gotta put that with 21 too.
I didn't either.
Yeah. I mean, is it? It's just. I don't. Yeah, I think 21's a good age.
Yeah.
I think regardless, people are.
Obviously, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
Well,
it's just.
let's also
It's just
be
like
realistic.
alcohol. Like,
Yeah.
People are medicating themselves right now too because of
With all kinds
everything
of
that's
things.
going on in this country. It's just crazy.
And everything
Everybody's
could be an
looking for that
addiction.
numb.
Your news is
That's
an
true,
addiction.
too.
Your phone is an
My
addiction.
coffee.
Your
You're hitting
sex
where it
is an
hurts now. You're
addiction.
hitting
Like
where it hurts.
everything can be
She said the
addictive.
phone.
I
She said
think-
the phone. That hurt.
I think all
That hurt
that,
me too. Look, I'm always on that thing.
it's true though, but I think with medications, anxiety,
Yes.
anxiety and depression,
Coffee. Caffeine is such an addiction. Like
Get
I
out of my mind.
I
right
don't
now.
think
We're
I
being-
feel attacked right now.
I think there's definitely we're being overprescribed with anxiety
Yes.
medication and depression medication.
And that was what somebody came up and told me
Attention.
at an event. They said, because I was asking them
That's
about,
fine.
I was literally asking them, Aly, about,
Sorry.
medicinal use even, because I had some serious questions. And when this person described to me the amount of pain that they're in on a daily basis and the amount of pain medication they were being prescribed, they actually couldn't function because of it. But with the medicinal marijuana, I don't know if it's the type of marijuana, the quality that they're getting because it's medicinal, they can function. And how dare you take that right away from somebody
Right.
that,
There's way
Yeah,
more
at
of an
some
argument
point,
for that.
you can't take
than-
away someone's free will.
I don't know.
Well,
as
you
a
can with
parent, I
certain
tried.
things. I mean, there's a lot of laws of different things that.
I know, but it's like, I feel like
Yeah,
there will
I
be
mean,
consequences to free will, though, in some areas.
Yeah.
Guys, I love this
That's
conversation.
another
that's
conversation.
different, though.
I really want our viewers to go scan the QR code below. Make sure you go to our Facebook group, the Homefront Defenders. We want to hear what you think about on this topic. We're going to be back with more of the Homefront after this short break, so stay tuned.
Throughout history, the spirit of patriotism has prevailed. The battles may have changed, but the values remain the same. Today, in 2024, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment where the call for unity, freedom, and a better future echoes louder than ever. For more than 10 years, Patriot Mobile has been committed to supporting the values that make our nation great. With affordable plans and reliable nationwide coverage, Patriot Mobile is not just a wireless service. It's a call to action for those who believe in the American dream. Because this year is not just any year, it's the most important year since our nation's founding. Choose a wireless carrier that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Welcome back to the home front, guys. If you want to see the debate and discussion, it was funny. Aly and Brianna and I think Ashley were all having a conversation. Camden and I were having a conversation, not listening to anything the other one was saying. It's kind of some fun stuff. If you want to see behind the scenes footage, you need to go to thehomefront.tv and make sure you become a premium member. Guys, we're going to switch off of pot basically to talking about the Supreme Court.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So we had earlier this right. You almost need to be on it. Just
You
to
might
talk
need
about
some to talk about this.
Earlier this week, we had Corinne Clifford, who is she's our independent journalist out of Washington, D.C. She was there live from the Supreme Court on Up News. And also earlier this week, she was talking to us about these rulings that came down from the Supreme Court. It's really hard to understand. Like she describes it, they give you a booklet, a little pamphlet on what the ruling means. And you've got to go through and read it and try to get through all that legal jargon. But the big one that I wanted to talk about specifically was the one that dealt with our free speech. You remember how big tech and...
It's a Chevron case, right?
That one is the Chevron case is the one with all of the 8 three-letter agencies trying to dismantle. This one had to do with, I remember there was a case, the specific case. It's a Murphy, hold on, I'll get to it. I'll get to it eventually. Yes, that
it's
one.
with the government and big tech, right? Like
yes.
Yeah.
So you know how the social media platforms have deplatformed a lot of us, especially during COVID. You're marked as fake news, whatever. That went to the Supreme Court.
Police.
That went to the Supreme Court, and they ruled in favor of that. That big tech and social media can censor you, but we also can sue them to try to fight it as well. So this really affects us here with what we do, because at any given time, Aly, they can just come and say, Aly, what you said on such and such episode is fake news, and we're going to shut down the home front. So how does that make you feel?
I hate
Like
that.
I wanna
I
fight.
hate it. So who
Catch you in court.
We're a violent group.
Why do they have the right to tell you what's true and what's not? Because then they can do that with anything. And that's why I'm scared about elections.
It's like 1984.
Now every time we go into election now, they're going to say that if anything fishy happened that we know about, they're going to say, oh, no. We're taking that's misinformation. It's not true. You can't talk about that.
I mean, like they're already. So I got a message a couple of days ago from a New York reporter saying that they wanted to have permission to use my name in their article as some people that have gone to Mar-a-Lago and supported the president, but are also election deniers. And I'm like, what?
What?
An election denier? Like.
There was an election.
There was an election. There absolutely was an election, and it was absolutely stolen. There's evidence to show that it was stolen.
But that's what I'm saying. Like even in 2020, it was pretty bad with the fact check stuff. Everything I posted, it said fact check on all of them. And
well, that will be on all of our YouTube stuff because we're even talking about it.
It's so ridiculous. Like, stop trying to control how people speak, because if you can't speak what you think, then they're thought police, and that goes against everything.
It's the fact that they think that like we can't think for ourselves. Like if someone on the internet says the sky's green, you look at it, oh, it's blue, you scroll. Yeah. Like what effect does it really have?
So this is going to contribute. This is contributing to the how we talk to each other, though. Because now, when you have someone that's a liberal friend, whatever, that you want to talk to, just about their point of view, they're not going to want to talk about it, and we're not going to want to talk about it because they're going to think we're instantly like going to hate them, and they're going to hate us because they're doing it with the media.
True. Well, because nobody's allowed to have an opinion.
Yeah.
Like it's like whenever you have an opinion, that's wrong. Like
It's got to be what they say,
Yeah.
or else it's wrong.
Yeah.
And then in like communist countries like China, and it's if you're too afraid to communicate with somebody, you're kind of isolated. And then when you're isolated, you become stuck in this despair. And then if you're so far in a despair state, you'll end up committing suicide. So it's like, because you can't communicate with anybody, and then you don't know who you can trust, right? Because they're going to turn you into the Gestapo, and then the thought police are going to come and arrest you and shut your show down. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. I don't like it. I don't think the court, I think everybody should write Amy Coney Barrett.
Amy Coney Barrett, that's the one that Trump
she's
appointed.
awesome.
She's the one that we don't like that she said this was okay.
She said this.
We need to send her a
Really?
strongly worded letter.
Yeah, she did. She said it was cool. She was the only one.
She was
That's
the only
weird.
one. I know.
Right?
That's
Like,
the same.
Excuse me, Lucy, you have some splaining to do. I love it. Are they too young for that? Do you know where that's from?
Maybe.
No
I
idea.
have no idea
Oh
what that
my
is.
No idea.
The show
I have no clue where it's
I
from.
have no
but
idea.
I Love
That is.
Lucy. That she just did a Ricky Ricardo impersonation.
Who's Ricky
Aly, we
Ricardo?
did.
That is.
Allie's got to recover.
It's okay to be old.
I was watching reruns when I was a kid because there was nothing else on TV.
Yeah, I have no idea what that is.
Nick at Night. I knew when I Love Lucy was on a TV show.
I knew because they kind of looked at their coffee cup like,
Yeah,
oh,
we're like,
I know what
oh.
she just did.
Her name's not Lucy. Her name is Amy.
Lord, oh my gosh, what a great group. Well, yeah, so that ruling came down, and then there was another one that is it's the immunity ruling
Saw
for
that.
Trump, for President Trump. So if a president is acting within their official duties, then they can have immunity. I think we just discussed earlier this week that the real argument's going to be, how do you describe official duties and non-official duties?
Well, there are certain
duties.
powers in like Article 2 of the Constitution that it's
Like,
talking
that's
about.
all you do.
But
is go back to the
everybody on
Constitution.
Twitter and everybody ever is saying, "Oh, this is horrible because now they can do whatever they want." No, there's written things that you can do and that you can't do.
This is why it is so important for you to understand proper roles and responsibilities.
And researching for yourself.
And
because
to read your freaking Constitution.
Yeah.
Like,
They go off
Read it.
headlines. Everyone goes off headlines.
Have we said that Camden was homeschooled? Isn't that
yeah.
so exciting?
I love it.
I love it. I love it. Love it. Love it.
Don't say it.
don't.
I'm not gonna say it. I was going to,
I'm
but
death
I
staring
got the
you.
daggers over there.
Oh,
so.
no.
Don't say it.
So, and then there's the other Chevron ruling that came down, which is basically from what Corinne, our consultant over there in Washington D.C., that gives us our information firsthand. From what she said, this is basically taking trying to take the three-letter agencies out of being able to do a lot of the dirty work of the government. So let's say the government has a law that they want to enforce, they want to pass. I used the example earlier this week of in Florida, they might want to pass school choice or parental rights and education. But the way that gets diluted through the people to the people is it goes to the Department of Education.
Yeah.
They determine how this is going to be processed and put out into all of our school districts. By the time it hits us here at the ground level, it might not be what we thought it was because they have the ability, those agencies have an ability to change how that's enforced.
And they're unelected.
They're
which
unelected.
is what's scary.
That's weird.
They're unelected, and they're doing the job of our elected representatives because our elected representatives have given away their power.
That's not how our country was
If they're
designed. though.
not
Not
at all.
elected, then why are they there?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's not how it was supposed
They're
to
not
work.
regulated the way that they should be. Our government is supposed to be their checks and balances, right?
And they're not.
Yeah, they're not.
They're
They're
definitely not.
aiding and abetting
Yeah.
the destruction of our country because we're run by an administrative state. We're not even run by what we're supposed to be run by.
Yeah.
I mean, we the people rise up and they put us in jail. I mean, it's just
It's true.
like, oh, you took a flight on this day, this time, and yeah, all right. Well, we're gonna add this, and that on your sentence, and now you're in jail for 30 years for walking around Capitol grounds
Oh my
that
God.
someone let you in.
It's
just-
crazy. It's
wild.
absolutely crazy. So we're going to keep our eye on what happens. Obviously, there's not going to be much coming out of the Supreme Court right now, but we will keep our eye. Oh, what else did she tell us? I wanted to make sure that our Gen
1512,
Z
wasn't it?
knew.
1512.
1512
J6.
for January 6th.
You guys know
What
about
does
that
that
one?
mean?
So it was the
was there
ruling
for
that
that, but
they
I need
can't. Yeah,
clarity.
they can't add on the felony for disrupting a congressional hearing. because that was tacked on to
Right.
a lot
For
of
those
the,
that
like
were- they
for
were
the trespassing,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
January
That you would
6th.
get like
Yep.
5 years for trespassing or 3 years for trespassing. They would add on the felony of 1512, which is disrupting congressional proceedings,
And now
and then
we're
you would
not.
end up with 22 years in
Right.
federal prison.
For being at the Capitol on January 6th.
You know what's funny? I saw that day live on the news, people just walking.
Right.
Yes.
I swear I saw it live.
The worst day in
And I was
history.
kind of laughing. I was
I
like, this
know.
is funny. They're just walking through.
Yeah.
And then they make it this huge scene. The news is
Well, because that's what they want you to see.
The news is
They
horrible.
want you to see the bad part of it and make it out to be
It's
like
literally like
we
the
commit
best
arson on the White
also,
House.
Trump
when in
made
reality-
a statement saying peacefully protest.
Yep.
Yeah.
And no one talks about that statement. They talk about
Oh my
He
God.
brought that up in his debate.
he's a
He did.
Yeah, he
yeah,
brought
he
it up
did,
in
and
the
I'm
debate.
glad he did because
Yeah.
he should. They want to say
Yep.
he's a dictator and he's
Right.
gonna destroy democracy.
Well,
Like,
now
what are you talking
too,
about?
with the presidential immunity and them having to change his date of his hearing
Oh,
date
yeah.
for sentencing, he's not a convicted felon. It hasn't been adjudicated. You're only adjudicated once you're sentenced.
Yeah.
So he's not a convicted felon.
Absolutely.
But they want to run with a narrative
Yeah,
like that.
but
And
that's
I-
why we need to fact check, right?
I know someone, like a friend, that just talked
Fake
about this, and they're
news.
like, "Well, I'm not. I'd rather not vote for the convicted felon." And I'm like,
He's not convicted.
"This is but this is exactly what
Yeah.
they wanted."
Yes.
It's funny how you can see what the media is trying to do. It's exactly what they wanted us to think.
Yeah.
And it kind of worked the opposite way because he raised so much money.
Yeah. Well,
So-
and this is what they did
Because so
to
many
General
people think
Flynn.
it's yeah.
They did this at his red carpet premiere here in Venice, Florida. I loved it. They were up on stage and after the showing, and they said, "How many of you guys didn't know? How many of you guys knew that General Flynn went to jail?"
Right.
And a lot of the people raised their hands.
hands.
And he said he didn't go to jail.
never been
But
to
the
jail.
perception, because of the way they talked
That's
about
what they
him,
do.
Isn't
he
that
was never
crazy?
charged.
That's
They dropped
crazy.
the charges. They bankrupted him in the process, but it gave him a ton of debt now because of his legal fees. But he never served time in prison. He was never actually charged. But look what
That's
they did
crazy.
to him. Look what they did to him and his family after 30-some years of service to his country. I'm sorry, don't get me on the Flynn topic. That really
No,
Yeah,
me neither.
I mean, this is why people hate Trump in our generation because the media's succeeding at what they're trying to do. People
Have you-
see it and then
Yeah,
they're like,
unless you
"Oh, he's a
watch
horrible
everything
person."
for yourself.
Have you seen? Sorry, go ahead.
No, well, they're not even
Are you gonna
teaching
talk
you
about
to
the
ask
movie?
questions the right way when you're in school. They're teaching you to go to the authority figure who's standing in the front of the classroom to give your answer. You're asking permission to ask a question. It doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're not teaching you how to ask the right questions when you're, having dissenting information. So, or to even detect dissenting information. So I can totally understand
Absolutely.
how Gen Z can be so furious
And
with
since-
Trump
Yeah.
because of that.
And since they're always on their phones, they're seeing these headlines, these big things. Trump, these people came out and made cases that he raped them. They're just trying to get attention. Like, but we're just seeing the headlines. So people are like, "Oh my gosh, he's horrible. Don't vote for him to be a president."
Right. But there's hope because I don't think that that's a big majority.
No, yeah.
I don't think so. I mean, everywhere on social media. Well, it also depends on what side of social media you're on.
Mm-hmm.
Because everything's
But there's the
literally
problem
just
though. What you click,
formed to you.
what you like
The
is what's going to show up.
algorithm,
So
yeah.
of course
Right.
I'm going to
Keep
see
showing.
better things than someone
Right,
that
exactly,
likes
but that's
something
what
on
I'm
the
saying.
opposite
Like, it's
side.
going to be kind of formed to whoever, like, whatever kind of person you are and what you're liking on social media
it's a weird
and all of
time.
that.
That's
It's
why
a
I have a
weird
lot of
time.
empathy for people who like kind of see differently than I do because I know that it's just
You're just
what they're fed.
blinded by everything
Yeah.
else,
Yeah.
you know?
That's
Yeah.
good, Brianna.
You guys will be happy to know that we also learned earlier this week that about 90% of the protesters that end up showing up at the Supreme Court are paid protesters.
Oh my
I mean, that was
gosh.
because
90%?
well, because our independent journalist,
for a
that's what
friend.
she does there. She'll go out and ask them, why are you here? Now, there are legitimate groups. Sometimes there are church groups. She said there was one that comes in, Ashley Babbitt's mom will go there
She'll
and
do the
pray.
vigil
She'll
every
do like
year.
a vigil and pray.
Oh.
Ashley Babbitt, the one who was killed at the hands of Capitol Police on January 6th.
Yep.
So, former veteran. But
Sad.
so it's interesting to know that, and I said jokingly, but I think that might be why Biden's job numbers shot up through the roof because they're paying protesters.
Ooh,
That's a good
that's a
perspective.
good point.
Maybe, who knows?
That might be why.
Adds on the numbers.
Guys, we're going to take a quick break. I want you to see what you get when you get to the Homefront subscription, homefront.tv. When you get a subscription, what kind of information you'll have access to, not just behind the scenes, but also our training platform. Take a look at this. Hello, America. This is your breaking news update from Up News. More of the home front in just a moment. But first, are you, America, are you aware of how important your local primary elections are? I know right here in Florida, our primary elections are on August 20th. And guys, we have a record-breaking number of Republican incumbents who are being challenged throughout the state by grassroots America First candidates. You might want to check when your primary is because you're probably experiencing the same thing in your state. Now, our primary is fastly becoming our own Super Bowl here in Florida. And while that is exciting news, not everyone appears to be thrilled. Think about it. Who wouldn't like the fact that they're being challenged in a primary? Establishment candidates are nervous. They're pulling out cheap tactics and they're becoming increasingly fragile in their campaigns. It happened right here locally, so I want to share it with you briefly. At a local GOP event, members of the public were invited to mingle with their elected representatives and local candidates. Not everyone was welcome, though, because our own Congressman, Vern Buchanan, felt all too threatened by just the appearance of a name on a shirt. And guys, it went downhill fast from there. I'd like to welcome Eddie Spear, candidate for Congress in the 16th District in Florida, to Up News. Eddie, tell us about the events that happened this past weekend.
Well, it didn't start out so well. My supporters and volunteers and people who were supporting my candidacy were kicked out and not allowed entry into the event before it even started. If anybody had an Eddie Spear for Congress shirt or hat on, any kind of paraphernalia whatsoever, they were not allowed and not admitted entrance into this quote-unquote public event that's supposed to be an RPOF, the Republican Party of Florida event, specifically Sarasota County Republican Party. And so that was incredibly frustrating. So I sat there and I listened for a long period of time. And then at the end of Vern Buchanan's speech, I had to get up and say something because somebody's got to step up. Somebody's got to step up and represent the voice of we the people. And that really is emblematic of my candidacy. I'm sick and tired of these sold out, captured Republican politicians who are only representing special interest and not representing the voice of we the people. So that's what my candidacy is about. And this was just a perfect example of the need to represent the voice of we the people and allow the discussion and debate to happen that Vern Buchanan and other captured politicians of the Republican Party are not allowing. So I just want to put this on blast. I want everybody to know and to see the actual characteristics and what Vern Buchanan is doing. He's silencing the voice of we the people. And I'm the largest grassroots candidate in Manatee County and Southern Hillsborough County history, and yet he won't even acknowledge me, he won't debate me, and he silences me every chance that he gets. And this is just the latest example.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Eddie, thank you for joining us. He said something really, I just love how he defined this, captured Republican candidates. It really paints a picture, doesn't it? I mean, if an opponent's shirt terrifies you, Mr. Vern Buchanan, then how are you ever going to be able, how are we going to trust you to wrestle with Democrats in D.C.? Guys, let's work to get these fragile rhinos out of office. Research who your local America First candidates are and get out in the primary to support them. I don't know, a really, really popular general, America's general, said local action makes a national impact. This is your chance, America. Get involved. Speaking of elections, guys, do you, America, do you have confidence in our elections? With the SAVE Act, S-A-V-E stands for the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act. It passed the House. It passed the House not too long ago, but we're not so sure that it's going to pass the Senate. And we know that Biden's going to veto it. That puts the spotlight on this question, guys. Why? Why would any elected official be against safeguarding our elections and ensuring that only American citizens vote? Now, this resolution, H.R. 8281, the SAVE Act, basically requires individuals to provide documentary proof
of U.S. citizenship in order to register to vote in federal elections. Now, hear me clearly. Proof of U.S. citizenship in order to register to vote. Guys, that's currently not happening. And the SAVE Act also allows for punishment of election officials if this is not done. That's called holding people accountable. Why is this such an anomaly, and why is it currently not happening? How is this an issue? Guys, the SAVE Act, again, passed through the House. It's going to be taken up in the Senate in September. You need to reach out to your senators and tell them you want them to pass the SAVE Act. Let's go ahead and put Biden on blast if he's going to go ahead and veto it. Guys, I want to fast forward to today. Why am I talking about elections other than it's gearing up for election season right now? If you fast forward to today, Venezuela is seeing the real-time results of not securing elections. Let me be clear. In any industry, guys, banking, national security, military, machines to themselves are not foolproof. There are literally industry standards that pertain to how you and I protect our money, how our investments are protected, that are not even required in order to protect our vote. Yeah, I said that right. We're protecting our money more than we'll protect and secure our vote. Currently, the leader of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, also the head of the United Socialist Party of Venezuela, is claiming that he won the election the other night. Now, the use of Dominion voting machines is a given in Venezuela, and the incumbent, get this, the incumbent has almost full control over who has access to the machines and who is allowed to oversee the election process. Now, that's according to reports by the Associated Press. What in the world could possibly go wrong with one side of the ticket having access to the machines and the voting process oversight? I can only imagine. Opposition leader Maria Corina Machado, who is working to get the opposition candidate Edmundo Gonzalez elected, she told reporters that they've obtained more than 70% of tally sheets from Sunday's election. And they show that Edmundo Gonzalez has more than double Maduro's votes. Now, according to the Associated Press, once your vote in Venezuela is cast through their Dominion machines, you get a printout, sort of a receipt, that's given showing who you voted for. Now, in Venezuela, you're required to put that receipt into a ballot box prior to exiting the facility. This is an important process, apparently, for any recount process that might happen. But because only one party, guys, only one party is allowed to access the facility, many in Venezuela have no faith in the oversight of this election system. The tallies that Ms. Machado is referring to are actual printouts from the machines showing a count of the ballots cast. I guess you would call that sort of an audit that we would do here in this country. There are calls made by Machado and Gonzalez, the opposition, to peacefully protest the claims that Nicolas Maduro won the election, which honestly has led to Maduro being MIA. I checked. I cannot find any reports at the moment of where he is. Guys, are we seeing a prelude to what could happen in the U.S. or really any other country, for that matter, that relies on Dominion machines or unregulated voting practices? What's an example of an unregulated voting process? You think this happens only in Venezuela? We just explained you don't need to prove ID, a proof of ID, in order to register to vote. Now, I've had people push back on me on this, so I'm going to explain to you. I recently interviewed a supervisor of elections here locally who explained that NGOs, non-government organizations, are down at the southern border right now helping migrants cross the border and registering them to vote. When they register to vote, they are not required to check their identification. Fast forward to what, November 4th, November 5th? What if that person wanted to cast a mail-in ballot? Who ever checks their ID in that process? Unregulated voting practices, guys, happening right here in the United States. Might this have been a great example of why we need, I don't know, the SAVE Act in place? Guys, we have to be careful that we're asking the right questions. Why would congressmen and women drag their feet on this. You need to reach out to your local congressmen and women and say, listen, when you get back to DC in September, this needs to be the #1 priority. We need to get this secured before November. Why would Biden insist that even if the SAVE Act was passed, that he would not sign it into law? He's going to veto it. I don't know, guys. Is there already a coup taking place to guarantee that there are insecurities in our election system? I don't know. You would think after 2020 that a lot of people would be already ramping up guardrails for this system. I know Mike Lindell has done a lot. We've had General Flynn also working on Secure the Vote. Hopefully, you guys are getting out there and volunteering with your local supervisor of elections. It's important. It's game time. It's go time. One thing is for certain. The people of Venezuela are not going silent in this contested election. No, they have lived under socialist rule for long enough, and they do not want it any longer. All of you protesters, you disgruntled college students that think socialism is wonderful, go study abroad in Venezuela for a year, and let's see how much you like it. That's if you can even get in there, right? Because the Department of Homeland Security actually advises against travel to Venezuela. Because, guys, that's what socialism gets you. We will keep an eye on this here at Up News, because I'm going to tell you right now, most mainstream is not covering this. It's not being covered in prime time. It's hard to even find it in print. We here at Up News and Patriot TV, we stand in complete 100% solidarity.
Hi guys, welcome Homefront family. We are here in beautiful sunny Florida. Obviously it's windy, sorry about that. We've got a little bit of noise going on in the background, but we're here to tell you about a wonderful opportunity to see more of the Homefront and to also train. Demi, tell them a little bit about why the Sheriff's Department is so important.
Oh my gosh, it's so critical. It's a key component for learning what you can do in your local community and how you can go to the polls and make a difference. I really urge you to consider coming on board and do the training with us.
Guys, we don't just need an educated voter populace. We need an engaged electorate in order for us to save this republic. And this is exactly what the training is going to do. It will teach you the proper roles and responsibilities of the elected and how to personally get involved so that you are the tip of the spear in your circle of influence so that we can make the change we wish to see.
Yes.
I love it.
And if you're Gen Z like me and you're tired of not having a reliable news source, scrolling on Instagram, TikTok, and you don't even know if what you're seeing is true, and then you can't even go to Google about it because Google ain't gonna tell you, congratulations, you found us and we have a program that's perfect for you.
That's right. It's training for you to get involved. Get involved because, guys, the Republic's not going to save itself.
Nope.
It's going to take people like us, God-fearing, God-loving Americans to get involved. The Homefront.tv, get involved with our training program. Guys, I love that we're offering this. Aly, tell them how important it is for just everyday people.
Guys, so what are you willing to sacrifice to save your republic? It is up to us, each and every one of us. So join us today.
And subscribe.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Homefront. So we are moving on to talking about the presidential debate, which I know happened in the past, but we never really talked about it on this show. We did the live on Patriot TV. That was a lot of fun for those of you that were here for that. That was a fun one. It was entertaining for me. I don't know about you guys. I thought CNN, the anchors, did a great job being fair, but I think they didn't have a choice because everyone was so shocked at how glazed over Biden was. What did you guys think of the debate? Did you watch it?
Yeah.
Because not everybody did. You did. And what did you think of it?
I don't know. I just thought it was not normal.
Yeah.
I think the only reason that I say the not normal part is just because every time there was something going on, it's like you're having a conversation with me and I'm like, just gonna sit there and not look at you and just like not like say
He was giving was so funny. He's like,
and
his looks
it was
were hilarious.
Yeah, and it was that, and it was also like the fact I talked to Camden about it, and it was also just the fact of every single time that he would go back to debate with Trump, it was like, well, you're just lying.
Yeah.
This is tomfoolery.
Yeah.
What was the other one?
Malarkey.
Malarkey. And I'm just
I got
like,
the bingo.
No.
I'm like, wait a minute. why are you
Yeah.
starting your debate with this is malarkey?
Right.
It's like you're not. You should just come back with facts instead of like, oh well,
Or a
you're
plan.
lying or
See,
right
at first,
or something.
At first, I thought that Biden just didn't do great, but now, like after it's been a while, it was a setup. It has to be a setup.
Yeah.
Like,
well, they wanted to watch him fail. I
we've
think they
seen Biden
wanted
go
to
out
watch
before
them fail.
on drugs and stuff, where you can see he's like, this was not that, and it was kind of sad. I think that
Yes.
Jill Biden is
Applauding him like a
accused
baby.
of, or she is an elder abuser.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I don't
for
like that.
sure.
But Trump, I think, did a great job being presidential. We talked about that.
Yes.
Mhm.
And the one thing I didn't like about either of them was when they just started saying, you were
About
the worst
golf?
president ever. And then Trump, you were the worst president. Biden, you were the worst
It's like a
president.
bunch of
I was like,
topics.
okay,
Like, can we
this is
not-
dumb.
Hey,
Yeah.
I would like to point something out there. They started talking about golf, and Trump was the one that said that we should stop being childish. He
That's
was the one to
true.
stop it.
Okay.
I just didn't like
true.
the,
Yeah.
The banter.
you were the worst, you're the worst. Like,
banter
let's talk
back
about
and
what you're
forth.
going to do.
For the country.
For the country.
We needed, I think, a little bit more of that. But there's something I don't think a lot of people are really talking about, and that's the absolute gall it took for Trump to stand up there next to someone who's being abused and have to put on a debate.
Yeah.
He even said it, and you could see it in his face how frustrated he was, because he was like, this shouldn't even be a debate.
Mhm.
And it shouldn't have been. And I give that man so much applause
Yeah.
and so much reverence, because I couldn't stand up there and participate in a debate like that, knowing the circus that's going on around them.
Yeah.
Right.
I just couldn't do it. I would have to be like, you know what? Time out. This is not okay. Somebody needs to come and do something about this, because this is not okay. America's in trouble. We look weak, and this is what this looks like. And then I would have somebody out with a camera, their cell phone, take a picture, take a video of everything that's going on out here, because the American people need to see that.
Yeah.
And I think that Trump not being able to do that shows the kind of man he is, the strength that he has, the fortitude that he has. And I don't think a lot of people are talking about that. But that's what
you know
I
why I
noticed.
also love Trump too? Because he said in the debate, he said, I don't have to do this.
Right.
Like, I am choosing to, because
He would
Biden
much
is such
rather.
a bad president,
Right.
that I need to come back and be here for the American people.
Right.
And we all know that Biden completely just destroyed everything Trump did the last four
They went-
last
He said,
4
I
years.
would much rather be retired. Like, me too.
I mean,
girl.
yeah, but that's a lot of respect, because you know
Yeah.
how many things he's been through with this country, how many things they put him through, the
Bro,
dumb
and he's
impeachments,
still
these
going
trials,
through.
he's
Yep.
still
Like,
going
it's
through,
still a
and he
thing.
still chooses to show up for us. So that's why I love him.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree with you, Candy.
I
Go
I also was like a huge fan of the fact that when they were like, okay, like, thank you, like pretty much like cutting him off. And then the next question they would ask Trump, and he's like,
He's
well,
like,
going
let me-
back.
yeah, let me
and
answer
then
that
he went
first.
back and then finished it like thoroughly. So
I
it's
like
like
that.
watching the TV, we couldn't be like, you know what, like that wasn't
Yeah.
like what I wanted to hear. So he finished his thoughts. He finished it in a way where we could have been like, perfect. Thanks for your answer. And then, but he still went into the next question
next-
within
Right.
those 2 minutes or whatever he had.
Right.
So I was a huge fan that he like decided to go back, finish his thoughts. So he just couldn't leave like the question of in us of what was he going to say, or is that all he had to say?
Yeah, I think those moderators did a good job too. The only thing was at the end with that election integrity question, or whatever, they asked Trump, is he willing to accept the results of the election? And he said,
said it.
if it's a fair and
yeah.
free
Always trying
election, then yes.
Payment
But then they asked again. I'm like, no, that's the
just
right
gave his
answer.
answer.
That's
Yeah,
the right
that's
answer.
the right
Yeah,
answer.
Because if it is a fair
It
election,
should
then
be
of
everybody's
course.
answer. It should be
Yeah.
Biden's answer if he could
They were
muster
trying to make
the
it just a
sentence.
yes or no. And it's like,
The way they're trying to paint Trump is that he's this dictator that is going to destroy democracy and take the election. If we
Hot.
let him be the president,
Me
he's
too.
never going to leave. No.
Yes.
We know what
know,
Trump's doing.
I just saw recently, actually this morning, somebody showed a clip of like a rally or something that Jill Biden was actually at and brought Joe Biden up. And
she was
he's
clapping
and
for
he's
him.
standing there like, and
He's
she
like,
goes, he did so good. He remembered all the things and all the facts. Like,
Like a 4-year-old.
Like what you would do to your 4-year-old. Like, way to go potty in the potty chair. Like, it was very like,
Yeah, she was. She was applauding like a 4-year-old.
it was,
I think
it
it's
was
so
alarming.
clear that this is her. and not Joe Biden. Like, this is her saying, let's run, let's keep going.
And I think it's other people behind. It's like I said, it's Oz.
it has to be.
It's Oz. It's other people. And if you think about it, as long as he's in office, these 3-letter agencies and these other people, they can do anything they want. Do you think that he's going to be the guy going forward?
No.
I just don't think anybody else will beat Trump in this election. I think if there's even a chance, it's going to be Joe Biden. I don't think that Kamala has a chance. I don't think Gavin Newsom has a chance. I don't know. I just think Trump's going to win no matter what. I think they kind of know that.
We thought Trump was going to win no matter what 4 years ago.
It's true, but Trump keeps saying we need to be too big to rig this time. Like, we have to get our vote no matter what.
Yeah, too big to rig. It happened in 2016. So, guys, we're out of time here, but we are going to make sure that we pray. I want to give you some direction. We call it homework from the home front. We want to make sure.
Personal investment.
Yes. There's two things, actually. The first thing is going to be to make sure you subscribe to the homefront.tv, guys, because we have a couple of great training videos that are making their way up there that will help you to understand why you have to get involved locally. And there are some key things you can do that, yes, they'll make a difference on the local level. That's how you get behind somebody like Trump and you help them out, is that you get involved in the local level where you can. And the second thing is, I really need for you to make sure that you step out and vote in your primaries. We all have our eyes on November, right? The general election, and that's fine. But make sure you get involved and vote in your primaries. That's where your decision is made between, honestly, Rhino and establishment candidates in the Republican Party. So make sure you do that. Camden, do you want to lead us out in prayer?
Sure.
As we get ready to do that, I want to make sure we thank Cape Hayes Tavern for the yummy, yummy food in the back.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, Kat.
All right. Father God, thank you for this time to get to talk and share our opinions and beliefs and what we think is right, Lord. I just pray for this country, healing for this country, spiritual healing, and that you help us to keep the honesty and courage for our leaders, and you just help us to have your hand on the country going into the uncertainty of what's coming up, Lord. We know that no matter what happens, Jesus, you're still at the center, and I pray that you help us keep you at the center no matter what is coming, because we know that with you, we have a firm foundation. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Amen.
Amen. Amen. All right. This is the future right here, guys. This is what you're fighting for. And I'm so glad to see Gen Z stepping up and doing their part. We'll see you next time on the Home Front.
Bye.